Hello and welcome to Steampunk Reviews. I'm sorry about the massive delay, but things have been rather hairy between working in a museum, being trapped in a cabin in the remote wilderness, and a power outage. My life has been rather hectic. But enough moping, on with the show. Now, when I first entered the steampunk subculture, Abney Park was the big brass band of sorts that serenaded me off the boat of my search for self and onto the pier of Victoriana and grinding cogs. The only problem was that the band's songs alternated from amazing to, "Please speak clearly, sir, I don't have a clue what you're saying." But before I get to the kvetching, a little background. Abney Park is a band hailing from Seattle, whose music and stage appearances are steampunk-themed. They're also relatively well-known, and as such act as something of a public face for steampunk, in that there's rarely an article on our beloved subculture that I read without them turning up in it. Not to say that they don't deserve the attention, though. Their song Airship Pirates is a wonderful tribute to everybody's favorite steampunk characters, i.e. the pirates who fly around in zeppelins, terrorizing everybody else and trying not to look too much like Jack Sparrow. As I mentioned in the beginning, they have a lot of good music. Their two most recent albums, Lost Horizons and The Death of Tragedy, are really excellent. Particular fave songs of mine include Airship Pirate, Herr Drosselmeyer's Doll, and The Secret Life of Dr. Caligari, which are from Lost Horizons, and Stigmata Martyr, All the Myths Are True, The Wrong Side, and Downtrodden from The Death of Tragedy. I offer these here so that those parties that are interested can buzz off to iTunes or YouTube and have a listen. Go on, pause the video, I'll wait. That being over with, now you can see, or to be more accurate, hear, the style favored by the band. Abney Park tends to mix electronic sounds with more world themes, and the results are usually quite good. The vocals are supplied by the male lead, Robert Brown, with periodic input from Finn Von Claret, the female lead. Now, I must preface this with saying that I know a minimum about music, but I have to say that I love both their voices, particularly Finn's, as she possesses an ethereal vocal quality that is wonderfully spine-tingling. Robert Brown's low rumble is also very good, as he growls out the rough verses before letting loose and belting out the choruses for most of the songs. Alright, enough with the cheerful, on to the nitpicking, since that's inevitably more entertaining. A big issue with Abney Park is the fact that quite often Robert Brown may speak exceedingly quickly into the mic, making it hard to understand what he's trying to say. This may be deliberate, attempt to seem artistic or different or what you will, but the reality is that the mutter into the microphone method has only ever succeeded in annoying me and forcing me onto Google to find the correct lyrics. Thus it is that I offer a piece of advice to vocalists the world over. If we can't understand what you're trying to say, it's probably your fault, not ours, and it's not entertaining or clever of you to do so in the first place. So cut it out. Another irritant about the band is that while its two most recent albums are worth their weight in gold, their other work, in my opinion, doesn't measure up. I do, however, add the caveat that I've only have listened to 3 of their albums, the aforementioned Lost Horizons and Death of Tragedy, as well as the subpar of Dreams and Angels. The last of this trio, as I imply, is simply not as good as the albums that followed it. None of the songs are terribly memorable or catchy, despite their intriguing names and interesting premises, with the possible exception of The Root of All Evil, but this one decent song doesn't make up for the rest. I cannot say how the other albums are, having not listened to them. One other is available on iTunes, known as Taxidermy, but it appears to feature live performances, and given that I tend to loathe recordings of live performances, I haven't been able to make myself buy it. In summary, however, Abney Park does pass muster in my mind. 2 of the 3 albums I've listened to I've adored, and their well-put-together website and interesting merchandise seal the deal. I advise you, my listeners, to go and at least listen to their work via YouTube, even if you don't buy it. That's the end of this episode. Next time I will be reviewing the animated movie that, to me, epitomizes steampunk, Atlantis: The Lost Empire. We